Do you have the 5 best plumbing personality traits? Let's talk about it.
I'm Kenny Molotov, licensed plumber, professional magician, and entertainer. On this channel, I go through the ins and outs of my career in plumbing. I take you through a day in the life and we talk tools, theory, and mindset. I'm trying to give you an arsenal of knowledge and an online resource so you can take this trade head on and find yourself successful on the other end. Click subscribe, hit that bell notification, and let's talk pipes.
Peeps, Kenny Molotov here. Check out MolotovPlumbingAcademy.com for plumbing courses that are specifically designed to help you succeed in your apprenticeship. Also, join our newsletter. That way you can be up to date on the new videos and vlogs that I bring out, and also any sort of courses that I'm building for the near future. So peeps, I wanted to talk about the 5 best personality traits a plumber can have, because I find that the most successful individuals around me actually carry a lot of the same trait, and I wanted to relay those traits so that you understood in which direction do you have to tweak the knobs. What I mean by that is that I feel like to a certain degree we are a bunch of different characteristics, and those characteristics get tweaked according to the activity that we put ourselves into. So for example, if you were a comedy magician and you needed to work in a gala, you would take the aggression down, you would take the friendliness up, you would tweak those knobs. But if you're on a job site, that aggression might become a little bit higher because you're doing aggressive work. You know, like you're hammering things, you're breaking things. That sort of thing needs a little bit more attitude and gumption and that sort of thing. So I wanted to tell you which knobs you got to look at for your own personality and what I've seen work with other individuals that are plumbers as well. So keep in mind with these lists, I find that the first couple are fairly on the obvious side, but they need to be said, because if we don't say them, then we're not talking about plumbing, unfortunately. The very first thing on the list is you have to enjoy building. What I mean by that is that you have to enjoy those physical problems. I remember growing up, I didn't do much plumbing at all with my father. He didn't take me onto the job site, but a lot of the times I was buying those miniature car sets where I was assembling those little cars, those miniatures. I was also doing that with my grandfather. We would build things in the backyard. We would make butterfly nets where we would catch butterflies with them and that sort of thing. I enjoyed physical problems as a youth, and I didn't realize it till much later that there's an entire career that we can go into and do stuff like that. So what I would suggest, if you don't know if you're inclined to build, is go to IKEA and buy something and see if it's fun to build it. Because anytime I've been given IKEA furniture before I got into the trade, that was heaps of fun for me. I enjoy looking at blueprints, I enjoy looking at documents and solving the problem of making it manifest in front of me. And that's what I now get to do on an everyday basis. And a lot of times now, I don't even work with blueprints. The customer comes up to me and says, look, I want a laundry tub in this corner, and I got to look at the different variables that are at play, that are already existing, and figure out how am I going to manifest that here with a new laundry tub sort of thing. That is what I mean by enjoying building. You have to enjoy the physical problem of, okay, how do I get these water lines into this corner? How do I make sure that these 2 pieces of wood don't fly apart? Oh, you have to use some sort of fastener. Okay, am I going to be using a screwdriver for that, or am I going to be able to get a driver involved in it? That sort of thing. Those are physical problems that builders have to deal with all the time. And if you enjoy building, those aren't hassles for you. Those are part of the fun of figuring out the equation. The second thing that's fairly obvious but needs to be said and gotten out of the way is that you got to enjoy pushing your body. This is a physical career. It is a career where you're not sitting down most of the time. You are mostly active while you're working. So we don't sit down and solve problems. We stand up, we crouch down, we twist, we turn, we get into cabinets. You have to enjoy the process of making your body do things so that it can manifest something beautiful in the end. That is part of what being a tradesperson is. You have to be okay with sweating on the job. You have to be okay with exerting so much force that you have to wipe off sweat off your brow. That is part of the career. That is what we do. If you don't enjoy getting up and moving around and fixing things and moving things and putting things in place, this is not going to be the career for you. In fact, it might work against what your natural personality is. But if you do enjoy building, if you do enjoy those physical problems, and you don't have a problem with sweating on the job site, with things being hard physically and mentally, then this is definitely the career that might satiate part of your personality. The third thing isn't very obvious, but it was something that I struggled with as an apprentice quite a bit. You can't feel sorry for yourself. I know that's a really strange one, but I remember there was a point in time where I had to do hard things, and I felt sorry for myself with doing those hard things. I would have to dig a trench, for example, and I'd feel bad for myself, like, man, what have I gotten myself into? Can't believe that I have to dig this trench, and I'm gonna spend the rest of the day lugging bags of dirt around and grabbing this shovel and going as far as I can with it, and then I gotta get a pipe and bring it all the way down here. I gotta level that pipe for the life of me. The entire process was me feeling sorry for myself about the hard things that I had to do. Now, that voice in my head had to be murdered by my two hands, because that voice is going to slow you down on the job site quite a bit. And I don't know why that voice existed, and maybe it just existed because I was doing difficult things. Keep in mind, like, I feel like that voice still lives inside me, like it lives inside all of us, but at some point that voice understands that, oh, this is just part of the status quo. This is what life is going to be like. That feeling sorry for yourself, that is not going to help you. That is going to work against you. So you have to be the kind of person that hears that voice and reminds that voice, oh, by the way, you're not in charge. We have to do this. Because who you actually feel sorry for is individuals that need this work to be done but cannot do it themselves. That's who we actually feel sorry for. There are homeowners out there that need their pipes to get fixed, but they aren't capable with their bodies to fix the pipes themselves. And they don't have the resources of people that know this kind of work to be able to fix the pipes themselves. We feel sorry for those individuals because they rely upon us to be able to get their house in order, to get their plumbing in order. Those are the people that we feel sorry for. We will exert our bodies and we will push ourselves and our minds to help those people out because they are in need, and everybody deserves to have functional indoor plumbing. So the next personality trait that I think is really useful is you can't really give up on problems. What that means is that you understand the problems are hurdles. It is never an okay situation where the problem wins in plumbing. Here's something you have to consider. Every once in a while, you are tapped out. There's a stalemate. There's a problem in front of you and you don't know how to solve it. In fact, you might not be able to solve it. So what you have to do is sit down and consider what are the best possible options in the circumstance that you're dealing with. And why I say that is because if you can't figure out the problem and you're the plumber, then the family that is living there is going to have to live with something that is potentially dangerous for them. So it is never okay for us as plumbers to sit back and say, I can't solve this problem, and boogie and just leave. It is ingrained in our career that not only are we going to find a solution to this problem, but we're also going to execute that solution as best as we can. We cannot give up. That's what I'm trying to say. That's the trait that you require. That doesn't mean that you aren't going to have terrible days. That doesn't mean that there aren't going to be problems that absolutely kick your butt. What that means, though, is that if we're not able to solve the problem, we are doing the research to solve the problem. A lot of that research is going to a supplier, sitting down with the clerk on the other side of the counter and saying, listen, I'm having a problem with this fitting right here. For some reason, it's not working, or I don't have the allotted space. Is there anything that you can think of that's back there in the shop that I can use in its stead, that I can replace it with, and we can keep going? That's what it takes. Sometimes it's not even the supplier. Sometimes you're going to have to call your boss and ask the same question and say, listen, I've never run into this before. Have you? And find out, get their 2 cents on the subject. That relentlessness on your end, that constant pushing, that pushiness to find a solution, that's what you need as a personality trait, because without that, you aren't able to continue, and you are not putting yourself in a bad situation. You're putting an entire family, maybe even an entire city in a bad situation by having that issue. Do you understand? Not being able to solve it, but pushing through to find a solution and then executing that solution, that is the personality trait that I find that is in the individuals that I admire the most. Yeah, they have moments where they're stuck, but they aren't going to leave the job site without some form of solution and getting that solution done. And the 5th personality trait that I think is really useful is being able to review your work, being able to, with a critical eye, Dissect what you did before and figure out where you could have gone wrong, and also praise yourself for what went right. I find that in a lot of circumstances when I'm dealing with plumbers that I admire, a lot of times they're saying to me, yeah, you know what? It was really great that this happened, because if that didn't happen, I wouldn't have learned something. So sometimes there's a silver lining in the bad situation that they had. So they learned something really important that they're able to now implement on further job sites in the future. But not only that, I find myself dissecting what I did and thinking to myself, okay, this is the one thing. If there's one thing I could go back and change, I would change this one variable, whether that be change the material that I transitioned to, or use a different type of fitting than I did in that situation, or maybe price the job a little bit differently so I would have potentially made a little bit more money, even though I spent the same amount of material, that sort of thing. You have to constantly be in review of the way you solve the problem. And by doing that, you're able to check off the boxes. You're able to say, yeah, you know what? I think I figured this out. This is a pretty good direction to go into. I promise you, if you have a critical eye, every job site that you leave, you're going to be able to sit back and say, okay, here was the weakness of what I did. Maybe it didn't have the same finish that I really hoped it would. Or maybe there was that one fitting that you soldered that you wish was soldered a little bit better, or maybe you weren't happy with the way it was level, that sort of thing. By being able to say you know where it is, and also figuring out a solution to have made that problem a little bit easier, that I think is the makings of somebody that's going to make their job easier and easier as they go into their future. And I think really that's what it takes to be as top-notch as possible. I think the best fighters in the ring are the ones that look at their videos and look at the footage of them fighting and seeing a weird little habit that they've created, and they got to dissect that habit and get it out of the way because it creates a major weakness. I think that's what it takes in all careers. So if you have these 5 personality traits, if you enjoy building, if you enjoy being physical and solving problems with your physical body and sweating through a job site, and you don't have a problem with feeling sorry for yourself, or you at least know how to tell that voice in your head to be quiet or to shut up or you know what, and you aren't the kind of individual that gives up on problems wholeheartedly and just walks away, and you are capable of reviewing your work, being critical with yourself, and working to change the behavior in the future, then you are looking at a very, very bright future. These are the sorts of personality traits that manifest in all great people, in all great tradespeople, in all great people in all avenues of life and all different careers. And if you're able to take these and manifest them, then I think the world is going to be your oyster. Peeps, thanks for watching. If there are any ideas for videos that you are interested in seeing in the future, go ahead and down in the comments, let me know what you want those to be. Maybe I'll be able to take a look at that and get a video out to you soon. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button down below and that bell notification so you know exactly when we're getting videos. Smash that thumbs up, share with friends, and I'll see you plumbers very soon. Kenny Molotov, guys. Peace, baby.